What comments do you have to make with regard to what's happening in City West?
I want to condemn in the strongest possible terms the violence we've seen this evening against members of An Garda Síochána in City West. I want the people involved in that violence to know that they will be met with a very forceful response from An Garda Síochána and our criminal justice system. People went to City West this evening for the purpose of weaponising a criminal event that happened yesterday. The Gardaí should be praised for the fact that they have an individual before the courts in respect of that alleged criminal offence. So rather than attacking An Garda Síochána, they should be praising them. And I want the people to know that if they continue to be involved in violence, the force will meet them with a very strong response.
Thank you.
All right.
So I'm here at the protest at City West Hotel, where a migrant, an asylum seeker that was supposed to be deported, stayed in the country and raped a 10-year-old Irish girl that was in state care. As you can see, things are massively kicking off here. There's probably well over 1,000 protesters. Unfortunately, this isn't the first crime we've seen like this, even in the last year or two. So things are really reaching a boiling point here.
News reporter Doogie Beattie is currently at a protest at a migrant hotel in Dublin tonight after a man in his 20s was charged in relation to the alleged sexual assault of a 10-year-old girl. According to reports, the suspect arrived in Ireland 6 years ago, failed an application for international protection in 2024 and has been the subject of a deportation order since March of this year. Doogie, thank you very much for joining us. I'll throw it over to you. Are you safe where you are?
Well, we have just been attacked by the police themselves. We did what we usually do. We get between the lines and then we let the police go past the lines. But the Garda Síochána thought it would be better to pepper spray us and then actually smash in to the camera woman and then smash in to the camera, knocking us to the ground and pepper spraying us through. So it just shows you how much the guards have. And all my time as a reporter doing this in Northern Ireland, I've been in many riots and I have never ever seen the police attack the media. They have done that this evening, as well as another photographer. And if you're watching those pictures, you can see the constable making the conscious decision. He looks at me and then comes forward and openly attacks us. So now we're actually at a front line. You can actually just see behind us there, I don't know if you can actually see it, that is a line of Garda Síochána fully in riot gear, and just up to the right hand side of me, probably 10 yards, is a line of rioters. This has really kicked off in Dublin tonight. There was about 2,000 people here. There's a police vehicle has been burned, water cannon is out, and the TSG themselves are having a hard time putting this down. The people of Ireland at this stage have said, no more, we want rid of these immigrants that are here. And of course, this is a presidential election weekend in Ireland. On Friday, the people here go to the polls to choose a new president for Ireland. This is not a good look for them at this minute in time, and it's definitely not a good look if the police service of the Republic of Ireland decide to openly attack the media.
The only way we're going to show this unelected government we mean business is to shut down the country. That's the only way. That's the only way they're going to listen to us, because by they're using our taxes to bring in these economic migrants, and they're not going to listen to anything. We can march, we can protest, we can run around fucking naked and there's no one going to take any fucking notice. But the fact that we shutting down everything, no money, shutting the economy, like all they're worried about is the economy. Do you know? Like if the whole country just shut down for one day, what would it do? What a kick in the fucking balls it would fucking give them, like, do you know? That we should be controlling our country, not people in Europe telling those muppets above what to do for the 2030 agenda. And you can see we've 4 years and 2 months before we can't get out of this. Our houses won't be our own, our children, they're going to fucking... What are they teaching them now? Healthcare. There's no healthcare. There's no housing. There's no nothing. There's nothing for the Irish. All the Irish are leaving. The economic migrants are coming in, and every other nationality coming in, and they're taking over. And I know people are saying, oh, they're coming over here working the whole lot, but they're still taking over the Irish population. 30 years ago? You wouldn't have seen any coloured people here, and it's not a racist thing, it's just being honest. Like, if you go over to Africa or anything like that, in certain parts, would you see whites there teaching and all that? You know, please take it in context, like, you know. Sorry, now I have to pick up the dog's shite.
Through, he's Irish! Through, he's Irish!
I've got a summons that you issued, or
Right.
apparently the Stevenage Council have issued.
The council tax.
Yeah.
Oh, right, I'll stop you there, because is it saying there's a hearing?
I just want to know how I get a copy of the actual summons, because I don't have one.
No, you'll have to go to the council directly, because although they use court premises for, you know, the hearings, they do all the administration themselves, and they produce the summonses from their own software as well. So everything that you get, the council will have done themselves.
So the magistrates' court haven't sent me a summons, and it hasn't been signed by a magistrate.
No, and this is a thing that comes up a lot, because some people question the legality of the document as well, because it's not been produced by the court.
So the council are actually acting illegally, sending out a letterhead pretending to be North Herts Magistrates Court.
You could argue that, yeah. You get this a lot.
Okay, so there's no summons against me, there's no liability order against me that has been issued by Stevenage Magistrates Court.
No, it may have been issued. See, they do issue liability orders, but again, I've never actually seen one.
Right.
And
okay.
I have looked, believe me, and I don't know. So I think it's all it's all down to the councils.
Lovely.
So that would be something you might get, like your MP to have a look at that, because this has happened so many times.
Naughty, eh?
And I don't know why. It's as if it's a tactic.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for your help.
You're welcome.
Thank
Okay,
you.
then.
Bye.
Phones, when most people put it to their head, up to 2 hours later, 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch into the brain tissue is still heated from using the phone against your ear. And when you repeatedly heat those things, then tissue actually starts to become neoplastic. We have a pair of surgeons here in town in Dallas. They're busy 5 days a week, booked every single day, all day, taking out parotid gland tumors from people having AirPods, Bluetooth devices, because it's actually causing neoplastic activity. So EMFs absolutely decrease life expectancy.
This is a mosque. Well, actually, this was once a pub, but it's also a mosque.
Well, now you've mentioned it, Christopher, this old church is also a mosque.
Well, hang on a minute. Where's my mosque? Oh, wait,
We're building it. But it's not done yet. So let's not mess about and let's get Ollie's mosque built.
Yes, on the race to Ramadan. Click the link somewhere around this video and donate today. I think we've got a bit of a race. Cheerio.
Ta-ra.
As you know, Tommy has been summoned to Israel. But being a wali, he keeps getting things wrong.
When they come in large numbers, they seek to dominate. The question is, who's stronger?
You can see the guy's getting a bit impatient, watch.
The question is...
Can I talk about the book now?
Against the forces of radicalism and
Don't do it, Tommy.
And fundamentalism.
Don't do it.
Of our people.
Oh, you have a... He just got batted away like a fly. Wait.
We are a people that remembers.
We remembers a lot of things. And to be honest... You touching the book before you're told to, I remembers that for a very long time, mate.
This was the subject from last week. Gotta look back to the past if we want to ensure a future. This is a clip I found after the show. It's Lawrence Pawlowski, who is pretty well known for his coverage of COVID and the vaccines and everything. He's a pediatrician. He's Jewish himself. And he talks about who was behind poisoning the wells in Europe.
SARS-1 was a poison. MERS was a poison. Polio was a poison. Zika was a poison. Ebola is a poison. And SARS-CoV-2, which doesn't exist as a virus that causes anything naturally, was a poison. And it still is a poison. And I did some digging, and people have been sending me stuff that, you know, and you and I have discussed the fact that the Khazarian mafia is very much perhaps at the root of what's going on in this nasty world right now. And the Khazarian mafia has been poisoning populations for centuries.
A long time. Yeah. Just didn't start the 20th century.
And the material that I got that goes back to the 13th and 14th and 15th centuries, when you saw the bubonic plague and the reports from textbooks coming out of Fordham University that I started to glimpse at, showed that the only place in Europe and Eastern Europe where there was no bubonic plague was where the Khazarian mafia was based, which is Poland and the Ukraine. Okay? And so I'm looking at this map and I'm going, what?
Is Dr. Lee Merritt a man? Such a deep voice. I'm just wondering. These people have sent me Lee Merritt's stuff before, and she is pretty anti-Jewish. I'm just wondering. I'm honestly wondering, is that a trans person? Because it doesn't talk like a woman, and maybe it is. Maybe it just has a deep voice. I don't know. But I don't like the whole Khazarian mafia thing. Just come out and call them Jewish supremacists. Come on. They're just Jews.
The reason for the Spanish Inquisition and the reason for so many of the problems that the Jews were having were because they were finally caught poisoning the wells for centuries. And so I know this comes...
Why? We've been persecuted. Your people have been poisoning our wells. That's why you've been persecuted.
Full circle up to Dr. Brian Ardis. But I feel that it is our duty to not look at this as a virus, but as a weapon and as a poison. Right. We should have done this back in April of 2020, March and April of 2020, when the presentation of clinical symptoms was obvious that it wasn't a viral illness. and we should have looked at it. It felt like a poison, Lee. My colleagues in New York who were taking care of patients, whether they were acupuncturists, chiropractors, medical doctors, homeopaths, all said, this is a poisoning.
Yeah.
This is an external pathogen of some sorts invading the body. And pathogen doesn't necessarily mean organ. Right. Okay? And we failed, and we have been failing for centuries. And this is of concern because we have only looked at these as infectious illnesses, right? And we do not understand viruses. We do not understand bacteria. We do not understand their role in the environment. We do not teach it. We do not understand it. And we are using it and weaponizing the myths and the lies to get people to believe in this crap. There's no.
All right.
The theory that the control knob is CO2 doesn't work. It's completely clear it doesn't work. Well, you know, Dick would have made a lot more progress, and his colleagues would have made a lot more progress if they hadn't been forced to deal with this CO2 cult. And we might understand climate today without that.
I'm really afraid that nicotine might be really, really good. You know, that you've probably seen this theory, right? Like that, like basically America smoked its way to being the dominant hyperpower. It kept people focused. It kept people fit. It's an appetite suppressant. Yep. There's this really interesting health trade-off theory that I'm not saying I buy into it fully yet. So for people who are watching and shouting and screaming, I don't buy into it fully yet, but I'm becoming more and more convinced that the health benefits of not smoking have not been properly traded against the health problems caused by the resulting eating, not just in terms of appetite suppressant, but also just people filling cravings and filling the need for ritual. Well,
I would tell you out of experience
with other things that are worse for you. I think the crazy version of this is we'd all be better off with lung cancer eventually, but fit until then. And it could be that smoking gets you there. So I don't know. I'm trying to figure this one out, but nicotine is near the top of my list of potential biohacks.
Sure. The other thing that it feels real is nicotine makes boring things pretty enjoyable, and it turns out that to do anything significant in life, like it's oftentimes very exciting early. Like let's say you're working on a new product at Anduril, it's very exciting. You can make a 3D render, internally, not for marketing materials. I know you guys don't do that.
No render policy.
No renders. But let's say you make a render internally. You're like, this is really exciting, and then it gets into the mud, and you're like, okay, now we have to build this thing, and you're in the trenches of product development, and you get through many, many, many boring hours of struggle. Yeah. And
I'll tell you, a lot of the people in the trenches, they are smoking.
Yeah. The literal trenches, also going back through war. Like that was how people used to be in rations, of course.
Well,
of course.
I was gonna bring that up. Yeah, I mean they didn't get rid of the cigarettes in MREs until pretty recently. I don't know what date it was, but it was not that long ago.
Yeah.
So that's and of course there's other ways to have nicotine without having to have the health impact of actually smoking a tarry substance. Of course, and so that's where it becomes interesting. Like you probably couldn't convince me that smoking is literally better than the food, but it's like is vaping worse than being fat? I don't know. I struggle. I struggle based on the evidence I've seen.
The BBC World Service has compiled material on over 160 cases where children have been shot in Gaza and found that in 95 cases the child was shot in the head or the chest. In most of these cases, the victim was under 12 years old. The cases we found run from the first weeks of the war up to July this year.
How would you describe deliberately shooting children in the head and the chest? How would you describe that?
I'm just not sure I believe that anyone has deliberately done that.
So why have dozens of US-based medics reported, having served in Gaza, that Palestinian children have been shot in the head and the chest deliberately by Israeli snipers?
I don't believe that that's happened.
So why are they saying it?
I don't know.
Why? So you know better than genocide scholars and medical experts, medics who served in Gaza?
Well, I know what I believe.
But it's not based on any facts, is it?
How come I'm in the same point of assessment as the British government is?
The British government is legally implicated in the crimes of trying
so
to...
now we're getting to... they're all genocidal, the British government...
Well, if you arm a genocide, it makes you complicit. And why did these...
Arm a genocide?
Do you think it's...
We stopped arms exports in the summer of last year.
No, we don't. We provide crucial components for F-35 jets, and I'm sure you know about the Arms Trade Treaty of 2014. If you provide components for F-35 jets implicated in war crimes or genocide, then you are legally complicit. Do you know that?
No, I don't. Okay, I think we've probably exhausted it. I mean, you're not going to get the answers.
Well, I know, but you're a pro-Israel lobbyist. It seems like you don't actually know what you're talking about at all. And you've been very... This is your subject.
No, you've got a set of opinions. I've got a different set of opinions.
But you don't have any facts. That's the problem.
I had a big kind of question here.
I like the big ones. Hit me, baby.
So I kind of just don't see a lot of change between, the Biden administration and now the Trump one in foreign policy. We're still giving a shit ton of money to Israel and Ukraine. Nothing is happening. The war's not stopped. He promised it'd be done in a day, and it's, I don't know, how many months? 8 months or something like that. It's a long time. Your dad was in the CIA, and I was wondering, does our government even want war to stop? Do they want conflicts to end? It seems like we have a difference of interests where we're getting told one thing and the other is happening, and I feel like there's not enough communication between different sects of government, and I really think the deep state's controlling everything, and we have no control.
Well, let me start at, obviously, you probably sense that I agree with a lot of that. Obviously, leave my father out of it. I'm going to have to kick your ass, which I could do, by the way, if you bring him up again, because he was a wonderful man, whatever, he did for a living. So I really do hate that. But leaving that aside, and don't test me, son. I hate to say I agree with a lot of what, I think you probably know I agree with a lot of what you've said, and it's enormously frustrating. It's shocking, actually. And I do know, I'm not shilling, I just happen to know some of the people who work in the administration who are people who agree with you strongly. I think most Trump voters agree with you. That's why they voted for Donald Trump in the first place. And, no pointless wars was not just a thing he said at one campaign stop. It was a pillar of his campaigns and of MAGA itself. I mean, what is MAGA? There's a mad scramble, particularly since Charlie's passing, to define what this is and to read some people out of the movement. You're not MAGA. Well, what is MAGA? Well, MAGA is 5 things, okay? MAGA is America first, which means Americans should put no country before America. American interests come first. That's not a crazy idea. No pointless wars, period. And by pointless, I mean wars fought on behalf of an ideology or another nation are totally unacceptable. They weaken this country. Wars fought because somebody running a country is bad. Okay, is bad. You're telling me a world leader's bad? All right.
How does this war end in Ukraine, do you think?
I think what you're going to get is an ugly victory. I think the Russians will end up conquering another 4 oblasts in eastern Ukraine, in addition to the 4 oblasts they now control. I think they'll end up with about 40% of pre-war Ukraine under their control. In fact, they'll annex that territory. And I think that you will be left with a dysfunctional rump state in the form of Ukraine. And I think that rump state will not end up joining NATO.
We are stepping up further. This year we'll provide the highest level of military aid to Ukraine ever, £4.5 billion this year alone. We've taken over the leadership of the Ukraine Defence Contact Group alongside Germany. And in the 8 months since we did that in February, we've successfully raised pledges of over £50 billion in military help to Ukraine. We've got to recognise as well the fact that the British public have shown our nation remains united for Ukraine.
Et nous la co-présiderons avec le Premier ministre Keir Starmer et nous associerons évidemment le président Zelensky à celle-ci. Et donc les garanties de sécurité sont prêtes. Il y a ensuite les négociations territoriales, et celles-ci ne peuvent être négociées que par le président Zelensky au titre de son pays. Nul autre ne saurait le faire. Et donc, à l'Ukraine de décider pour elle-même et son territoire, aux Européens de décider pour eux-mêmes et leur sécurité. C'est comme ça que les choses peuvent avancer, et dans nul autre cadre.
На тему в Україні нам не вистачає робочих рук, особливо чоловічих робочих рук. І є пропозиція відкривати, власне, наш український ринок для іммігрантів із Центральної Азії. Чи є ця тенденція уже?
Вона була ще і до повномасштабної війни. Хто зауважив, хто тут доставляв в Києві Лово і так далі. Це вже було. Знаєте, кожна країна, яка традиційно була, як би сказати, експортером людей, дивується, коли появляються які люди, які хочуть в ній жити. Ну, поляки, наприклад, в шоку тепер через українців, але і не тільки. Значить, є велика частина світу, для яких життя в Україні це був би апгрейд неймовірний в їхньому житті. І з кожним українцем, що виїжджає, з кожним українцем, який, на жаль, гине, з кожним українцем, що рішає, що це не для нього така робота, створюється робоче місце для людини за кордоном.
Йобаний в рот. Йобаний в рот. Твою мать, сука, нахуй! Блядь! Ебать! Нахуй, блядь! Ебать!
Having kids is such an important decision.
We're just waiting for the right time. It's not something you want to rush into, obviously.
No way.
Oh shit, I'm pregnant again!
I got too many damn kids. Thought you was on the pill or some shit.
Hell no!
Must have been thinking of Brittany.
Brittany? No, you didn't! There's no way we could have a child now. Not with the market the way it is, no.
God, no. That just wouldn't make any sense.
Come on over here, bitch! He don't care about you!
Yeah, well, there must be something he likes over here.
You mean nothing to me, baby?
It wasn't me! It wasn't me! Well, we finally decided to have children, and I'm not pointing fingers, but it's not going well.
And this is helping.
I'm just saying that before I have in vitro, maybe you should be willing to...
It's always me, right?
Well, it's not my sperm count.
Disputed. Patriotism, a force for good, is turning into something smaller, something more like ethno-nationalism.
I wonder why.
Which struggles to accept that someone who looks like me and has a faith like mine can truly be English or British.
Let me make it clear, Shabana Mahmood has no English or British heritage, yet sees it as her place to stand on a stage lecturing people like me, people like you, the native people of this country about what real English and British patriotism is. Being British means absolutely nothing now. You don't even need to have any English, Scottish, Welsh or Irish blood even in you. It's simply just a feeling. You can just identify as such. What being British actually means now is just a set of happy clappy ideals about inclusivity and tolerance, whilst the native people are told to shut up and put up and are constantly put on the back burner. And then these people seriously turn around and go, I wonder why ethno-nationalism is on the rise. We don't want to be told how to think and how to feel by people like you. This is England, and for so long we've been told to hate everything about our identity, our history and our past. Well, no more. We simply won't do it.
Red birds want to be with red birds. Listen. Tell me when I'm wrong. Pigeons want to be with pigeons.
But
Tell me when I'm wrong. We should have more. They don't have intelligence, but yet they stay together. We should have more intelligence than them, right?
I think it's sad that
it ain't sad because I want my child to look like me. Every intelligent person wants his child to look like him. I'm sad because I want to blot out my race and lose my beautiful identity. Chinese love Chinese. They love the little slanted-eyed, pretty brown-skinned babies. Pakistanis love their culture. Jewish people love their culture. A lot of Catholics, they want to marry another Catholics. They want the religion to stay the same. Who want to spot up yourself and kill your race? You a hater of your people if you don't want to stay who you are. You shame what God made you. God didn't make no mistake when he made us all like we were. It's just nature. You can do what you want, but it's nature to want to be with your own. I want to be with my own.
احنا من 70 سنة ما شفناش هذا الشيء. من 70 سنة ما شفناهوش هذا الشيء. أخذوا الرزق وأخذوا كل شيء ما خلوناش شيء ما خلوناش شيء من مرة خربوا بيتنا ما ربيش حركوا رجال وزياد عن ذلك المطور هنا تركوه المطور وطرمبة الرش تركوه حبسونا من الساعة 12 بالليل تروحنا الساعة 12 بالليل تعرفنا نطلع
إن في 200 دنوم منطقة اسمها الجزر عند السنبلة استولوا عليها احنا مش قادرين نروح هناك نهائيا قطعي.
أنا هنا على المطور المية في منطقة المغرقة بنعاني من أشياء كثيرة هون في المغرقة الأرض الزراعية كلها صعبة هون في المنطقة من المستوطن الموجود حاليا.
وإحنا بنشيد في كل المؤسسات وكل الهيئات المحلية الموجودة لمساعدة القرية حتى نقدر نخلص من هذا الموضوع اللي هو موضوع الاستيطان اللي بنعاني منه القرية. لأنه أنا بقول لك إياها بصراحة إحنا كمجلس قروي في النزلة الشرقية وكقرية ما قادرين على هذا الوضع الاستيطاني الموجود.
I stumbled on data. This is hard to believe if you haven't heard this before. For every single vaccine on the childhood schedule, your risk of death, we're just looking at death, because that's what parents fear the most. I don't want my child to die of this disease for which we have a vaccine. How could I live with myself? Your risk of dying from the vaccine far exceeds your risk of death from the disease.
You can say that unequivocally.
Unequivocally, for every single disease for which we have a vaccine.
Wow.
So what are you afraid of? If you're afraid of your child dying, do not give them a vaccine.
Right.
Period. You should be afraid of some of these other things. When severe autism is just skyrocketing, these are kids who need lifelong care.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got it.
We just received these documents that Trudeau has been covering up for years. Documents related to a massive security breach at the Trudeau government's most sensitive laboratory, where the most dangerous viruses and pathogens are studied and handled. We have learned that the Trudeau government's head of pathogens was collaborating with members of Beijing's People's Liberation Army who are responsible for bioweapons and bioterrorism. We know now that a People's Liberation Army official was able to gain personal access, walk in the door, look at computers, and have access to all of our most important virological secrets.
You need to get on pills, because you're like a sick person. Have you ever thought about getting on pills? Or seeing somebody? Because you're like borderline schizophrenic. It's kind of freaking me out. Like, you sound like you need to be fucking medicated. Sounds like you're a danger to yourself and others. Are you okay?
Screaming at me. It's 7 in the morning. She says to me, "Good luck to your husband dealing with you." And I say, "My husband loves me." And she responds with, "That's why we're trying to get him fired." You're not going to get in between a marriage because your feelings are hurt over my criticism of a foreign government. Pay very close attention to her treatment of her own dog, how her dog is behaving, and what she's saying. Do you think that was appropriate to stick your dog at me?
Can I talk to you?
No. Why did you try to stick your dog at me?
She knows Anna. She's waiting for Anna.
Yep.
She's blocking the sidewalk.
Yep.
Then she knows about Anna's husband and his job and how she's part of a group who's trying to get him fired because he has a wife who has criticized Israel.
You said that you're trying to get my husband fired.
Everybody's trying to get me fired.
Exactly. Yeah, you're part of that, everybody. Congratulations, Canary Mission. The death threats that Anna gets and that I get, the fruits of your labor. You must be so proud because your job is to terrorize Americans into compliance with Israel.
You came for my dog and my husband? You want to come for me, that's a different story. Okay, mano a mano, that's a different story. You come at me with my dog? With my dog. You try to stick your dog at my dog. You try to threaten my husband's livelihood. You think I'm a little wilting flower and I'm so scared. I'm not scared. I'm not scared. This isn't going to stop me from doing the commentary that I do.
all what we can not to hurt the citizens. For example, these days, actually today,
You kill more than 70,000 civilians.
No.
There are more than shoot. Not the children, not the women.
We do specific war will end when the organization will release all our hostages and will give up his weapon because we can't stop the war as long as we have the hostages.
This kind of propaganda have too many. No one believe it.
Racist bar girls. In this video, you'll learn which ethnic group gets charged the least, all the way up to the most, and which ethnic group often gets denied entry. That's the uncomfortable part. Firstly, locals. They get the cheapest prices, wages are low, they're local, so they get looked after by their community. Next up, Asians from Japan, Korea, China will pay more than local, but they still get taken care of pretty well. And lastly, before we get to the uncomfortable part, white foreigners will get charged the most. Usually, that's because they're big spenders, so the bar girls make the business decision. And finally, the uncomfortable part that I don't want to say because there's going to be a lot of sooking in the comments. Ethnic groups such as Africans and South Asians will often get denied entry. This is just because of propaganda that gets passed between the bar girls. How do you draw the line between racism and business?
A recent memoir written by known Jeffrey Epstein victim Virginia Giuffre has revealed that while she was trafficked in the Epstein pedophile ring at 15 years old, she was repeatedly beaten and raped by former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak. Her memoir is titled Nobody's Girl: Surviving Abuse and Fighting for Justice, and she explains in graphic detail the sexual assaults and beatings by Ehud Barak, including the way he got off to her pain and made her beg for her life as he strangled her, which by the way is one of the most dangerous acts, as strangling is the strongest indicator that someone is going to kill you. She also described the bleeding from her mouth and her private parts after this incident. After the attacks, she begged Jeffrey Epstein to step in, but he told her it was just part of the job. Her memoir revealed that she thought she was going to die a sex slave at the hands of Epstein and his circle. Violent attacks like this occur every day in America, but what is so pathologically sickening about this specific incident is that it is being completely covered up by both the media and the Justice Department, who refuses to act on behalf of Jeffrey Epstein's victims. Former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak was one of the most powerful world leaders, and we have repeatedly learned about his close ties to Jeffrey Epstein through email leaks and photos. So how in the world are they still protecting him? The Epstein files are still redacted, and no one is facing charges for the trafficking of 250 plus underage girls, as declassified by Attorney General Pam Bondi in February. Justice for these victims is far more important than protecting powerful billionaires and politicians. Virginia Giuffre was able to escape the pedophile ring after this incident, but it's been reported that this past April, she took her own life by suicide. She began her book off with the quote, "If we see cruelty or wrong that we have the power to stop and do nothing, we make ourselves sharers in the guilt." Did Virginia actually take her own life, or was she just suicided the same way every other person with damning evidence against powerful people is? We know that in the Jewish holy book, the Talmud, it says that it's okay for a Jew to rape a non-Jew as long as he kills her to protect the Jew's reputation. I don't care who you are, if you protect these aggressors, you are as guilty as them. Every person stalling the release of the Epstein files is complicit in the abuse and injustice of innocent people.
Ooh, that's nuts. It totally just opposes gravity. It's as hard as I can do it. This odd shape is perfect for dropping on top of it. It'll just sit there if we balance it right. Who knew metal could be so fun? What if I spin it? Yeah, that's cool. Oh, dude! This is one of the most powerful permanent magnets in the world, and something weird happens when you put aluminum next to it. It just stops the motion. Normally you need a giant liquid-cooled electromagnet to show this effect, but ours is powerful enough to do it.
Well, when you're at work on roof.
والله نحب نقولك. Let's put you on just doing that video.
That is the law. Secondly, I'm going to Islamic locations. Is that the reason? If I was going to a church, I bet you wouldn't be around here now. I'm not trying to stir anything up. But when you've got crowds of people mixing closely together and getting away with it, you're not going around to these parks and stopping and praying. You're not going to the mosques and telling them to get out. Are you? And that's what I'm going to report on.
How are you planning to get there? You're going to drive in your car?
I don't know, I might go by helicopter. I've no idea yet.
You said you were going to drive.
Well, all right, then I'll take the car and take the helicopter.
Okay. So what car do you drive, Tom?
I'm not telling you, you don't need to know that.
Is it your car's registered to you?
Do you think I'm going to set myself up for you guys to be sat along the road with nothing better to do than stopping me?
Are you going to Bradford or are you going to Leeds?
Going to both of them.
Where Bradford are you going?
I'm not telling you, wherever is the mosque. I don't have to tell you where I'm going. This is not China.
Who are you broadcasting for?
What do you mean I'm broadcasting for myself, for my own radio station?
What's the radio station for?
I'm not telling you, so you don't need to know that. You're on a fishing expedition, guys. You've been sent around here because, I mean, I just can't believe where you guys are popping out from. All over the internet, there's cops everywhere. Call up and say your car's been stolen, you don't see one. Call up and say your shop's been broken into, you get a crime number.
Okay.
But all of a sudden you're running around after this. And I don't get it. There's something going on.
Tom, you seem very keen to sort of kick off an argument with
No, you're the guys that are coming here to stop me doing a lawfully protected activity. The government has said it's okay for journalists to go out and do the job.
So, let's just be very clear, Tom, because I don't want to be...
I don't want you here either. I think it's ridiculous.
I'm advising you very strongly, that from what we perceive...
Yes, perception.
You would be, that would be on a necessary journey.
That's a perception.
If you make that journey, and if you were to be stopped, Tom, you may well find that you end up being either receiving a fixed penny notice, or that you may well be either summoned to court, or there may be other actions.
Right, where does it say in the NCCP rules that you can stop me travelling? By law, not by one of your boss's opinions.
Tom, I'm not going to get sucked in.
Because you can't, it's not in the law, it's not part of the law.
What I'm going to explain to you is that we, at this stage, we're warning you that may be considered an unnecessary journey.
It may be, that doesn't mean it is.
Tom, I'm not going to get sucked into the finance of it.
You just said it may be, you're a police officer. Do you know the law? Do you know the law you're trying to enforce? You clearly don't know the law. There's nothing you can do. But you don't even know your own law.
Is there a specific mosque that you wanted to attend or religious site?
Any of them.
Hi everyone, this is going to be my first video I make, and this is because I'm scared for my life. I don't know if it's with other girls. So look at this, I've just opened my pads. I entered my periods yesterday, and I always use Oris every time since I started my periods. Oris has been my G. So this time I was scrolling on my TikTok and I find girls talking about how these pads are not good, are not nice, and I'm like, yo, you're lying. But when I checked mine out, see what I found. Guys, look at this. Mind you, this is new. I've just opened it. It looks clean outside, like nothing is there. But have a look at this when you
We are in the middle of an epidemic of moral cowardice, I'm afraid, in our country. We are appeasing some of the worst people because the police are afraid. And I have senior contacts in the police who tell me that their biggest fear is Muslims kicking off. So that mustn't be allowed to happen. And then the other fear is that a lot of us now have started refusing to go along with the multiculturalism has worked out absolutely brilliantly. And they are now afraid of people pointing that out. But this is absolutely outrageous. And we've got this guy, Ayub Khan, an independent member of parliament who has celebrated this Israeli team not being allowed to come to Aston Villa. And he has basically delivered a load of propaganda and misinformation. He said that this particular team was involved in scuffles in Amsterdam, in attacks. The actual fact of what happened in Amsterdam, which is documented by a court, is hundreds of Muslims in Amsterdam ambushed and set out on what was called a Jew hunt, all right? And this was not just football fans, this was any Jew they could find. They threw them into canals, they jumped out of canals. There was immense violence. So what we're seeing, as I said, is the police are appeasing these people. We've got an Islamic preacher, Astar Rashid. When the Tel Aviv team, if they come to Birmingham, we will not show them mercy. That is incitement, right? Yeah. You have any other member of any other community saying that, and that they would be done for incitement, but it's all, let's consult with community leaders. Let's do a community impact assessment. We don't want the police to do a community impact assessment for one protected characteristic. This is the United Kingdom. The police are supposed to be policing for every single one of us.
They have literally delayed their agenda. Because I think it's so important to them, they've been very careful about the timing, and let's wait a little longer, let's wait a little longer, let's have this crisis first, let's have COVID first, soften them up. But they've delayed, because the technology was already ready around 2015 to roll out. Mm. And what people don't mention is, what do these CBDCs actually look like? At the moment, there's a bit of talk about this being phone-based apps. And yes, that is the initial phase. But what was already ready around 2015 is the ultimate goal. What they really want, apparently, I was told by a central banker, is, CBDCs looks like a small grain of rice that they want to put under your skin, which is, in my view, a violation of human dignity. And they realize there is a hurdle. So to get people to accept this, there will be, why suddenly are all the billionaires saying, let's have universal basic income? Because the story is going to be, now we've created this vast unemployment and disruption and crises. Well, we need universal basic income. You will get 2,000 euros into your account every month. But of course, to run this efficiently, we need to use the latest technology. So, you need the CBDC chip implant. But how many people will say, okay, fine, £2,000, 2,000 euros,
a surprising proportion.
It will allow SpaceX to deliver high bandwidth connectivity directly from the satellites to the phones. But there are hardware changes that need to happen in the phone. So since these frequencies are not supported in current phones, the chipset has to be modified to add these frequencies, and that probably is a 2-year time frame. So the phones that are able to use the spectrum that was acquired probably start shipping in around 2 years, and then we also need to build the satellites that are going to communicate on those frequencies. So in parallel, we're building the satellites and working with the handset makers to add these frequencies to the phones. And then the satellites and the phones will then handshake very well to achieve high bandwidth connectivity. But the net effect is that you should be able to watch videos anywhere on your phone.
Turn the screen off to see what's going on there. 120. It's pulsing right now. Not sure why. See, I'm right next to the fridge, and it's completely nothing is happening outside here. Now, when the microwave is off, you can see, well, it's barely nothing, zero coming out of this fella. But when we turn it on, see that from this distance, we're getting 360 milliwatts per meter squared, about half a meter away. The levels have dropped down to 100 milliwatts per meter squared. So that's the kind of levels you're getting when you're using mobile data, Wi-Fi, uploading and downloading data right next to you. So yeah, using your phone next to your head is like this much away from a microwave oven.
That's 100, and you got 100 in the cabin here, everywhere. It goes out to about, it's 100. It's just 100 everywhere basically in this car, and it's on, but you're not driving. It's everywhere actually.
I just won a big suit against FCC. In the Court of Appeals for lying to the public about cell phone radiation, about the cell phone safety. And see, FCC now has to go back and redo all of its regulations on, on your cell phones. Cell phone, if you got a kid, don't ever let him put his cell phone near his head, and don't let him carry it in one of his front pockets. If it's a girl, don't let them carry the cell phone in their breast pocket. Don't let them carry them anywhere near their ovaries. And the farther the cell phone is from your head, when you're talking, the better off you are. So, there's tens, literally, this is not hyperbole when I say tens of thousands of studies that show the really extreme dangers of cell phone radiation. And people are not paying attention. A lot of our kids sleep with the cell phone right next to their heads. They fall asleep with them on the bed. Don't let them do that. Get that cell phone. And if you can get away from them at night so that they get 8 hours without it anywhere near them, that is really important.
That effect is that you should be able to watch videos anywhere on your phone.
Watch this. See that guy there in the blue shirt? His name is Roderick O'Gorman. He sent out tweets in 8 different languages, like what I showed yesterday on a video, in Somali, 8 different languages, asking people to come to Ireland, saying he'll give them a free house and free apartment within 4 months. After he sent those tweets, asylum applicants rose by over 400%. Watch this video. This is far leftists last night when the news broke that a 10-year-old child was raped by an African asylum seeker. This is what they were doing, and they are all directly responsible for it. They all support it. They are champagne socialists who never have to deal with the consequences. They all make a lot of money. They'll never be in these poor working class areas that are being injected with foreigners, but they'll push it on those less fortunate, the lower class. See that guy there? He doesn't know the own gender of his child. Look at them all. Disgusting people. And this is them supporting Catherine Connolly. This is them last night after a 10-year-old child was raped by an African asylum seeker. This is what they were doing. Celebrating themselves. That's Sinn Féin's leader.
We have come together from all...
When the news broke last night that a 10-year-old child was raped, this is after they were supporting these kind of policies. This is what they were doing. They were celebrating themselves. That's the kind of person these people are. Holding their own hands up, celebrating themselves. As a 10-year-old child who's less fortunate, who doesn't have the same background as them, is raped by an African asylum seeker, who they advocate injecting them into those areas. These are disgusting, dishonorable people.
Would you like to come to later?
Yeah, if you want. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Let me just leave us with one final thought here. So I've been to Israel once in my entire life. I came for about 36 hours. And as a Christian, I think the world's Christians will know that this country, that this region of the world means a great deal to me. And at some point today, I hope to go, or at some point in the next couple of days, I should say, I hope to go to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which Christians believe is the site that Jesus Christ was crucified in. And I know that Christians have many titles for Jesus Christ, and one of them is the Prince of Peace. And I'd ask all people of faith, in particular my fellow Christians, to pray that the Prince of Peace can continue to work a miracle in this region of the world. I think that we have made incredible strides over the past week. We're going to have to make a lot more, but I think with your prayers, with God's providence, and with a very good team behind me, I think we're going to get it done. Thank you all. Take care.